Today we're going to do the brunch time thing, but first, a few thoughts about the future of DBs and Ohio State, LSU, Michigan, because that's what we do. I give you a little bit of college football, and then we go talk about whatever the hell it is we want to talk about. Probably Cop Car, which we'll explain a little bit, was a horror show. Now, Shaun Wade came back to Ohio State. He probably is going to be another first-round draft pick, right? Why? We'll get to that in a second. Derek Stingley Jr., not eligible for the draft in 2021. Neither is former five-star and Michigan safety Dax Hill. But all of these guys could potentially be the future of defensive back recruiting. Now, at Ohio State, you would be drafting Shaun Wade on a number of different things, not to say the least of which is his ability to play significantly at the NFL level. But because Ohio State's just been so good at producing defensive backs, they have 7 first-round draft picks at defensive back since 2016. It's remarkable. They had 10 draftees in 2020. Now, every draft-eligible player for LSU that entered, every draft-eligible player for Ohio State that entered, either was selected or was signed to a undrafted free agent contract. So these places are really, really good at producing what the NFL wants to see at the next level, right? Now, add to that Dax Hill, who hoped to turn around Michigan. And when I say turn around, I mean actually win the Big Ten East, as opposed to, just going 9 wins and then ended up in the Citrus Bowl against an also ran Alabama squad. But Dax is also the most instinctual high school football player I've ever seen in my life. He could play any position on any football field. And when he's going to play safety for Don Brown in that defense, all I ask is that you let him loose, along with Darian Green-Warren, who I think could be a Big Ten freshman of the year. He's that good at defensive back, particularly at cornerback. I also want to see what Shaun Wade looks like against some class quarterbacks. And he won't really have that many opportunities this year because it ain't like he gets to face Justin Herbert at Oregon. That's going to be Tyler Shuck or Anthony Brown. Neither one of those guys is expected to be a first-round draft pick, but he might be able to face some top wide receivers. We'll have to wait and see, right? Maybe Nico Collins developed into something. Maybe Ronnie Bell developed into something. I don't know, right? Meanwhile, KJ Hamler is gone, so there's no Penn State dude to really put him up against. And when you're looking at their schedule and you're looking at the Big Ten, maybe you're talking about, Rodney Bateman, perhaps, over at Minnesota. Maybe Tanner Morgan can show out. He probably will be the second best quarterback in the Big Ten behind Justin Fields. But it just goes to show that the best practice and the best evaluation that you're probably going to get of an Ohio State defensive back this year is probably against Justin Fields when they're going 1v1 in practice. Also speaks to Kerry Coombs, right? Because Kerry Coombs has just been phenomenal when it comes to developing talent. It's one of the reasons why Ryan Day went back to get him from Tennessee, the Titans that is, to be the defense coordinator after, the Greg Schiano experiment was awful. And when you took Ohio State's defense off of Schiano difficulty, you saw what Jeff Hafley was able to do, right? And now add to that, Josh Proctor comes into a year in which he is draft eligible and he hopes to take over the spot left vacant by Jordan Fuller. I like Josh Proctor, one, because he's from just down the road. Again, another Tulsa Metro kid, went to Owasso High School, was a number one prospect in the state of Oklahoma in 2017. And he picked basically the apple of defensive backs. They are the best at producing them. They are the ones that we want the most. Now, add to that what Derek Stingley Jr. is going to have to do in LSU's secondary. I think they're going to be super talented. I also think they're going to be, super inexperienced, which means they're probably going to be on this side of 9, 8 wins. LSU fans, fight me. I still think Derek Stingley Jr. is the best cornerback in college football today as a true sophomore. He's that good. Bill Bush has been pretty good at putting those safeties into the NFL as well. And we know what the pedigree is at LSU, particularly for defensive backs. Now, the argument for LSU or even Alabama is that they have more defensive backs that sustain themselves in the NFL rather than just being, early round draft picks. That said, what Patrick Peterson meant to LSU and what he meant to Arizona cannot be understated. The same thing with Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, right? And then you can go and keep looking at Jamal Adams for the New York Jets. I think Elias Ricks has an opportunity to compete for one of those spots. I hope he does. I think Elias is phenomenal coming out of Mater Dei. He was in that same defensive backfield 2 years ago with Darian Green-Warren, and they were carpool buddies, and they're very close. I actually wanted to see them in the same conference, but we don't always get what we want. Then add to that, Jacoby Stevens, probably going to be the heir apparent to Grant Delpit, Paycom Jim Thorpe Award winner, second-round draft pick by the Cleveland Browns. I expect him to be really good, right? You keep going down the list, and you'll keep coming up with guys that just have made defensive back and particularly corner their job at LSU. And we'll see what happens with Derek Stingley Jr. because a year ago, Ed Orgeron told his father he's going to play both ways. He didn't play both ways as a true freshman because Ed told his dad and kept his promise to his dad that I wouldn't do that to him, but he is that dynamic player. And then when you take a look at him on punt return, which he is a true freshman at LSU, you get how much they value Derek Stingley Jr. And while the number 7 jersey goes to Jamar Chase, and I get it, Biletnikoff Award winner, had like 1 million yards receiving and was shut down by Parnell Motley in the Peach Bowl, but whatever. He's their best player according to them. I think Derek Stingley Jr. is destined to wear that number 7 jersey, which is iconic at LSU. Give him another year. And in that third year where everything is on the line for Derek Stingley Jr., you're going to see him break out. Now, leads me to Dax Hill. Dax Hill for me is the prototype of what you want in the NFL. He can play 3 positions. He's super fast. We're talking about 4.3 speed, tremendous hands, a special teams dynamo. He can return kicks, he can return punts, and he can play both ways. Closest thing to Charles Woodson that has stepped on campus in Ann Arbor since Charles Woodson. I'm not kidding. If you put the kid in positions to succeed, he'll win you a Heisman Trophy. All right? He's that good. And the reason that I am pointing out Shaun Wade, Derek Stingley Jr., and Dax Hill is because you look at the NFL, guys that usually go in the first round about 6'1". Okay? That's what you need. When we hear these defensive coordinators say that they want longer, rangier, faster cornerbacks, defensive backs, I say you want unicorns. Cool. We all like unicorns. I like Pegasus as much as the next guy. I'd like to have a winged horse. But, they don't exactly grow up on trees. And yet, and still, you look at Ohio State, that's what they've been putting in there. Sometimes they get 4 stars. Sometimes they got 5 stars. Sometimes they're Denzel Ward and get 3 stars and they're the 4th overall pick in the 2018 NFL draft. Sometimes it just be like that, right? And then you continue to look down at what the NFL wants to do. And basically since the Legion of Boom, we had this great thought, the group think of we needed bigger, longer defensive backs that could take away guys and press coverage. And we need dudes that aren't afraid to come downhill and crush running backs and tight ends like Cam Chancellor, to which I'm going, yeah, man, the Legion of Boom was singular, all right? Richard Sherman at his best. Earl Thomas seeing everything all the time. He is a center fielder on par with that of Ken Griffey Jr. or Willie Mays. He can take away whatever you want over the top, and you can play single high with him. That allows you to have Cam Chancellor, who's just an oversized linebacker, playing strong safety. You can just do that, right? You can't just do that everywhere else because you're not always going to have those sorts of guys, right? That said, 5'11", 5'10", you'll see those guys get drafted at corner and safety all the time now. Because when you see what the offenses are doing, they're getting shorter and they're getting faster at wide receiver. Hollywood Brown for the Baltimore Ravens, Tyreek Hill for the Kansas City Chiefs. Henry Ruggs goes in the first 15 picks to the Vegas Raiders and is the first wide receiver off the board. That tells you what the NFL values. They value speed and hands. Size isn't necessarily what it used to be. You had to have a possession wide receiver, a Terrell Owens type, a Michael Irvin type, a guy that perhaps you can get to on a 15-yard comebacker. Then we saw Randy Moss kind of took the top off the defense and was tall. And that's also another unicorn. So when you can't get that tall, but you still want to stay that fast, because guess what? If I can outrun you, it don't matter how tall I am. All you got to do is chuck it deep. And what Pat Mahomes can do is chuck it over them mountains, Uncle Rico style. And Tyreek Hill was always there. And when you look at guys like Travis Kelce, yeah, okay, that's your matchup nightmare, but that's what your strong safety's for. That's what your Grant Delpit type is for. That is why you took him in the second round. It's also one of the reasons why I put such an emphasis on a free safety that can drop down, but also a strong safety that can fill gaps and perhaps can run across the middle with your dragging tight end, right? It's getting a shorter, faster, spacier league. 1, because pass interference calls. 2, because we now have data that the NFL is acting on, thank God, to show that you score more points when you throw the football. You're more likely to win games when you throw the football, particularly on first and second down, as opposed to running the football. Now, there are old school cats in here that want to say that all you got to do is be running the football and run the football well, and you'll be okay. But the problem with that is once they stop the run, you fall off precipitously when we're talking about expected points added per play. So if you can run the ball, by all means, run the ball. But as soon as you can't run the ball, you're screwed, right? Which means you got to go back to throwing the ball. Which means you probably need to have defensive backs that can run with these wide receivers, that can pattern match, and that can play multiple positions and get more like this positionless NFL that we're so used to seeing. Okay. Katie, Ron, Kate, Tyler, Noam, how you guys doing?
Truly fantastic, RJ. Thanks for having us.
Shut up.
Thanks for inviting us to your brunch time group.
Shut up. You know what? I'm gonna start talking noise about Cop Car in just a second here.
I mean, you don't. I mean, feel free. Like I feel like Hey, everybody else, pipe in. How are you? How's your Sundays?
Really good Sunday so far. It's been pretty chill. Yeah, I think that's all we have to report.
Went for a run. Went to get some iced tea. Try to avoid all the overconfident people who aren't paying attention. Same old.
Are we gonna do that? Are we gonna trash talk the hordes of people? Are we gonna do that?
I have to. It's all that I have left is trying not to be sick and looking at other people doing the opposite. I'm out here just watching people play 21 out there with 13 people bodying up and playing Jordan rules basketball. I'm like, you could not do that. I don't want to get in the way of anybody's freedoms, but I want you to be healthy. And if we're talking about you just want people in their houses to tank the economy. I mean, maybe, but at least I don't want them getting sick out there trying to protect the rim.
Yo,
I just want everybody to be safe.
My mom called into my radio show to tell me that I was taking away her freedom.
I love you, Mom.
Yeah, my mom got brass calling into my radio show talking about RJ got me on lockdown. Wait, hold up, what? I'm trying to keep you safe. Like, what do you? Okay, all right, just call me out in public. Got it, cool.
Said, young man, I will come down there and I will sit next to you in class. Make sure you get this homework done.
Ooh, you like me had a mama who would do
Say
just that. Yeah, you had a mama just like that. Stop playing. All right. So I did want to talk a bit about Cop Car because I think we need to unpack this whole bit where the mere sight of children with guns had us all reaching for the covers.
Right. What is Cop Car?
Cop Car is a Southern Gothic film starring Kevin Bacon that has no winners, which is the ideal.
No.
That's the ideal Southern Gothic. There are no winners. Everybody loses here.
Everybody shows up and goes to him sad. So you say you're going to trash talk it? Because I mean, first off, thank you for listening, but we're about to spoil this film.
As if they, please.
Yeah, I mean, if you were Kevin Bacon completist and also love the reveal of movies,
wow. If you're a Kevin Bacon completist, like you still have things to watch. You're not going to get to this one.
But yeah, no, this is a film that whenever I make these Netflix parties and I want everybody to show up, the goal is to pick a film that's as far away from the current context as possible. So, generally action and adventure, staying away from plagues and zombies and whatnot, and horror and gore. Anyway, nice, good family films. But I never claimed that the films that I chose were not going to put kids in danger. And this movie is almost nonstop. Children looking down the barrels of guns, wondering why aren't they working,
and trying to pull the trigger.
Oh no, not trying, doing it. Thank goodness for safeties. I say thank goodness for safeties.
Why doesn't it work? Just ricochet right into my gut.
It just cold sweats all the way through that movie.
Man, I can't. So yeah.
No, so you said. Hey, go ahead.
Nah, just look. On a Saturday night, what I don't look forward to sitting down to is watching children, one, make bad decision after bad decision after bad decision, and two, die of gunshot wounds to the stomach. As a matter of fact, what's the name of the website, Tyler?
Does the dog die.com?
It's the dogdie.com. I want to see if this movie's on it.
Oh, there were two dogs in it. They were some very lovely puppers and doggos in this film, and I think they did okay. So, but the kids, Nah, they're scarred for life.
Hmm.
Like I remember when you said, so the only prompt that I got for picking a movie was just make sure it has plot. And this movie has one plot.
Yep.
The end.
Yep,
But-
it has one whole plot.
But was it not a tightly told and well told story?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
What did you think? You're one of the masters of writing in this room. What did you think?
Cop Car definitely made it on this website. Does the dog die? No. Does a dragon die? No. Does an animal die? Yes. Twice. A cow dies.
Oh, we don't know that.
We don't?
We don't know that.
We
Did
don't?
you see it happen on screen?
What?
That cow walked away just fine.
Yeah, what did we learn? Everybody who got a gunshot wound is dead. If you got hit by a truck doing 70 miles an hour and you're a cow, you probably want to be dead. Probably die right there, still breathing. Horrible.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that you nobody's gonna tell you like to walk it off, but I mean you're still alive. You didn't die.
This is Oklahoma. All we do is tell you to walk it off.
About to say
The
that.
movie that really answers the question, how now, brown cow?
No, it truly was a holy cow moment.
Not nah. That's how you have to say it. You have to say, "Oh now, brown cow," and then you gotta. These boys out here about the Bucks. God.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, all right. Speaking of which,
As we turn to dust and just bury us, just
Okay, everybody shut it down.
no,
Yep.
look, no.
push the pyre out into the ocean.
So I thought about this as I was going to bed. When my man came back in toward the car, right, after he finds out his friend shot himself in the stomach with the ricochet bullet, right? And what did he say? He said, "Shouldn't have shot the gun." Is that what he say?
He said it don't hurt no more.
Is that
Who
what he
says
said?
that?
The kid.
All right, so-
this kid.
Oh, and he said that way later in the car ride.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, right? And when he said, that's what it was. When he said, "Don't hurt no more," I had the funeral dancing scene, like the meme, in my head.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
I really wanted to go find that and then just cut it up. Don't hurt no more.
Oh. Oh.
And then
So posted on
Cut straight to that.
the "I'm going to hell for this" subreddit. Got it. Okay.
look, I had to have a
Cold
joke,
as ice.
man. And, God,
Yeah.
and there were no jokes in this. Again, like Katie.
Oh, this movie was all jokes. What are you talking about?
Katie.
Oh,
This
those
movie was
9-year-olds were
nonstop
killing
jokes.
it
Katie.
as far as 9-year-old humor goes.
This felt like a Flannery O'Connor story. I'm dead serious. Like it felt like a modern Flannery O'Connor story. The way it
Who's
was.
that?
Tell us, RJ. Tell us about Flannery O'Connor.
Flannery O'Connor is a Southern writer. Malicious compliance.
Cool. No follow up.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. And Barry Hannah did cartoons.
Yes.
Of Hanna-Barbera. You do the made Yogi and stuff.
These are my friends.
The ones that wrote Wacky Races.
Uncultured swine. Just what are we doing? What are we doing?
Hey, in my very weak defense, I haven't actually read Flannery O'Connor, so it was almost a legitimate question for me.
Did you watch Hands on a Hard Body?
No.
Okay. Nashville.
But no, let me go write that down.
Nashville?
I don't think so. Cold Dead Hands on a Hard Body. Right?
No, just Hands on a Hard Body.
Okay.
It's a
No, I
documentary.
like your title more.
It's a documentary about a bunch of people that want to win a truck, and it's the last man standing. So you have to stay in contact with the truck, like physical contact, and
I feel like that story is surprisingly dark.
Oh yeah, like I'm just giving you some cinema to go right into this vein.
Will do. I'll jump right in.
Yeah,
Cold Dead Hands on a Hard Body.
yeah.
But does the dog die?
Yeah, it's a bloodbath.
So they stopped doing these contests after this film was made, or singing. They had to stop doing them.
They're like, oh yeah, we can't do this no more.
Yeah. It's like, oh man, we have film of dog fights. Don't think we can do that anymore, guys. I think we got to outlaw that. Cockfighting? Oh yeah, somebody put a camera on it. Shooting unarmed black teenagers? Oh, gotta stop that too. Somebody put a camera on it.
Yeah, we could go ahead and shut that trend down altogether. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, if you could just go ahead and stop doing that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I don't want to make it sound like I'm some sort of dude living in the past, but I know I'm well past my teen years, but I still care.
God.
Okay.
What is it?
All right.
Ooh, what happened?
Anybody in here familiar with Enes Kanter? Shut up, Ron.
Who's in his canter?
Okay.
He's a Turkish national.
He's an NBA star, is what he is. He is a saint.
Star.
He is opening up charter schools in this state, and he's not even from here. But point is, Enes is fun. Enes is a lot of fun, and Enes was told, "Hey, if you come back over here, somebody's probably going to assassinate you because he's been speaking out against Turkey and Erdogan and all the like." So to make a long story short, he can't leave the United States lest somebody probably try to kill him in London, in any part of Europe, especially at home, right? And there was like this propaganda machine for a while to try to make him come, and then they try to get the president involved to deport him, and it's like, nah, we're not gonna do that. So the NBA has basically been taking care of him. He's been taking care of himself. He's fine. So there's this tweet from this woman that says, "I've been single for 5 years awaiting for Enes Kanter to marry me." And he retweets it with said, "You got an American passport?" So I am dying because
What?
that's
I just gotta ask though, why has it got to be charter schools? Oh wait, he can't as a private citizen open up a public school.
there you go.
That's true. That's kind of he just can't.
Yeah.
You just can't do that.
There you go.
Never mind.
Also, Ron is scoffing at NBA star because famously Enes Kanter is a liability on defense, and Billy Donovan said Kanter, as in can't play him, unplayable.
Hey, you know what? He'd beat me in a 5-on-1, so I think he's all right.
He beat most people in a 5-on-1.
To be clear, I love Enes Kanter.
Just not as an NBA.
Oh, he's
star.
not even.
I was being disingenuous. Like on the court, he absolutely is double machine, guaranteed bucket. Just but compared to the amount of air that he takes up on Twitter, that's where I say his stardom is, because he says something and this is my time to treat Enes Kanter like he's Sean Bradley, and we're taking him to the rodeo.
Who's Sean Bradley?
Sean Bradley is a very tall Mormon.
Oh, sorry. I guess as far as the Twitterverse is concerned, who's Sean Bradley?
Walking
Sean Bradley
poster.
is a former NBA basketball star. He's very tall, very good at basketball, but also just the hugest target.
Okay.
Whenever somebody says I'm getting mine, they mean their nuts are going to be hanging in Sean Bradley's face as they go to the rack.
I see. I see. Oh, this is the problem. Enes Kanter is not even 7 foot. God, what a shorty.
There you go. Yep, that's it. That's the problem.
Just tiny. Might as well be 5 foot. It's like it's the 5'11" versus 6 foot memes on the internet. It's like, oh, 6'11", man, not even 7'3".
So, like, I'm truly happy that he's opening up a school. I love this trend that Jalen Rose and LeBron James have started to, create a pathway towards success. That's as far as people that are doing it right. I'd say that's the move.
Oh, speaking of which, have y'all downloaded Quibi?
No, I didn't.
Nobody here? I'm the only person messing with Quibi.
KWIBY?
No, QI. BI.
Oh, that's the this Netflix but short, right? That's the YouTube but paid for.
Okay,
right.
So can I give a? All right, I'm going to be super serious about this.
Hey, what's Quibi?
So
What is Quibi?
Quibi is a app for your phone that has on-demand premium content as the staple that they made exclusively for this platform, and it is, run by and founded by Jeffrey Katzenberg, who is awful, but for all the reasons related to he just wants to do it his way. He doesn't like to share credit, and he hasn't had an original idea at all. That said, he's been involved at Disney for a very long time. He's been at the forefront of so many streaming places, and he's also been fired by many of these places. But because it was necessarily a Jeffrey Katzenberg idea, and he has, Susan Wojcicki's number and Sergey and Larry's number and whatnot, there's a bunch of people that put their money into it going, cool, we can afford to lose money on this if it doesn't work, but we also would like to be around for it if it does. So this app has, 10 minutes of content per episode, right? So 10-minute episodes of movies, of series, of documentaries. And the reason that it came to my mind is because LeBron James has a show on it, also built around his I Promise School, right? Which is really, really well done and very cool. Problem is, you can only watch it in portrait, like the app. The app only displays in portrait, and there is no right, and there is no casting function whatsoever, none. And everybody who has Della is like, hey, I kind of like this, but I would love to be able to watch it on my TV. And Katzenberg has been like, no, for the first 3 months, we're only doing this because it's a free trial for 90 days. Then they're going to try to get you to pay $8 a month. And the question is, very clear about whether or not people are just going to mass say to hell with this app after 3 months. I'm not giving it $8 if I can only watch it in portrait and I can't cast it. They're like, we're going to do that. We just want to get our analytics so that we can show that this works. And they've already lost like 3 senior members of the board, senior officers, because Katzenberg is Katzenberg. And well, it's been roundly poo-pooed by tech insiders and media people for, reasons that we can all appreciate, not the least of which is lately the New York Times just published a story saying, hey, Katzenberg is selling your email address, which, in this day and age is
God damn it.
Right. So I don't think it's going to work, but I've adopted this.
Oh, now it's
now
it's 14 days free and $5 plans.
See?
Uh-oh. Something shook up.
Right. So I can't wait to see just how this goes down in flames. But I thought it was a decent enough idea, but it wasn't as if he was the only person who had that idea. And there's a reason why other people didn't really act on it. Because I don't know about y'all, but I don't spend a lot of time watching YouTube premium shows. The reason for premium is no ads. Is playing things on background. It's not so I can watch Wayne, although I did like Wayne. But that's the only one that I watched. I'm not watching.
And eventually I want to watch, was it Karate Kid? At some point I'm going to have to watch, Cobra Kai.
Okay, no, Cobra Kai. Yeah, that makes 2 of us. I got to get to that. But it speaks volumes I haven't got to that, right? Like, I haven't got to it.
Yes.
So, I'm not watching Liza Koshy do a premium show. I can watch Liza Koshy videos if that's what I want. I can watch Dave Dobrik's 4-minute, stream of conscious comedy bit. It's fine. But why would I make an app around this? I just,
I've watched plenty of television in my life that, 1-hour episodes where I was thinking, you know what? This episode would be a good 10-minute short.
But that's pretty much what it is. I don't know how much time anybody spent on Vimeo, but Vimeo used to have, or they probably still have it, but they have a genre of video productions and contests and whatever, where you shoot in portrait mode and, tell me whatever story or, whatever vista that you're trying to film or whatever narrative you're trying to put out there, but, shoot it in portrait. And it's actually really good. I think that there's a market for what Quibi was supposed to be, but current circumstance has made this idea a bad idea. It's kind of like one of the, your album dropped on 9/11. I'm sorry that we've never heard of you and we can never hear of you type situation that this was marketed as, you trying to get a little bit of high-end content while you're waiting in line at the supermarket, or in the doctor's office, or between classes, yeah, I mean, fine. That sounds perfect. But now where everybody's in their house and like, yeah, let me watch this on my TV. Also, this 10 minutes of pop thing is dumb. I don't like it. And I mean, those are valid criticisms, but I don't think there are any kind of criticisms that anybody that Quibi anticipated.
And if they didn't, why is that? I say because it's Jeffrey Katzenberg's thing. That's why I think it was made by somebody who doesn't actually, participate in the online discussion by consuming things online. That's what I think. Reddit worked because Ohanian was of the internet and liked being on the internet. Katzenberg is a 70-year-old dude worth $900 million. And that money didn't come from being, first to digital. He had to fight everybody about how he wanted to keep his crappy animated features going at a time when Disney animation was trash. This could have been avoided, I guess is the point. If you want to do this, fine. But only portrait? No casting feature? No ads? You don't want to sell any ads?
That's like an edgy art decision that, like any edgy art decision, high risk and not even necessarily high reward.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just trying to answer that question of, or get to that. This is a thing that nobody asked for, but could have been a thing that people have wanted all along. You couldn't have noted. You couldn't have known this unless you made it.
Really? I don't know, man. I just feel like we all could have seen this and made some changes that would have affected the rollout. One of which is probably maybe don't roll this out during the pandemic. Maybe not. Maybe wait.
That's just a generally good thing, especially if you wanted metrics. Like these metrics are not going to be worth anything long term.
Oh yeah, no, you could absolutely have that.
I'll give a devil's advocate and then a rebuttal for it. We see a lot of people. The devil's advocate is we still see a lot of like amateur content, or people like throwing stuff up on TikTok all in portrait mode and stuff like that, despite the fact that everybody's phone can actually record in landscape.
Right.
And so it's like maybe I could see somebody looking at that like, well, people do shoot that. It's honestly, although the rebuttal is, well, the reason is probably because it's easier to hold the phone in portrait when you're jumping around than it is to hold it in landscape recording. But then also all of the ridicule that gets aimed at people who record in portrait mode and then try to put it up for something even like vaguely professional. So it's like, did somebody just miss the other half?
Yeah, but I'd say that, like, to me, this is where Quibi starts to make sense. That I don't think they aimed for this, but think of right now the most popular DJ burning up the turntables right now shoots in portrait mode, and like you said, the biggest social media, or the biggest growing social media service right now, TikTok, is all portrait mode. Like, it's now something that I think a large amount of the viewing audience is just used to. So if you threw some production value into it, I don't see where like the dissonance comes in. And even before that, you had Vine.
I think it's about the user being smarter about what they're watching and whom they're watching, because user-generated content, as we all know, is at an all-time high. But we also are very clear about understanding the difference between user-generated content from, woman who discovered TikTok, right? And snazzy, highly produced, $125,000 per minute, 10-minute movie, right? And we change our expectations accordingly. One of the things I really love about this age of the internet is we're all very smart and nuanced about what we're watching immediately. And I don't mean that like consciously. I mean subconsciously, you know what you're looking at, or you've been a part of the story of the making of this thing, right? And that's I think that's got to do with bigger YouTube personalities as much as anything. Like you start doing the one thing and then it grows into something else. And then you see that person on television, or you see that person doing something that perhaps they had dreamed of doing 7, 8, 9 years ago, right? The idea of Grace Helbig, for instance, who YouTube put a lot behind after finding out that she could do a funny vlog for about 7 minutes. And then Tyler Oakley, who could be the voice of an entire people. But all those things change based on the story. And the story of Quibi is, now we're trying to take advantage of people doing things in portrait mode. It's like, there's a big difference between my mom making a video and you making a video in portrait. And one of them is going to be much more endearing than the other. Especially when we're going, hey, just watch this thing that I made, as opposed to pay $8 a month. I mean, I guess an example of this is something you dropped in the forget, I think it was Ron dropped this in the group chat. The woman who did the Choose Your Fighter. She was like a Swedish director on TikTok.
Yep.
Yeah. That's just, she's having a good time. Right? And just millions of views. But if you try to make that into 10 minutes and you try to make that snazzily produced, we're all going to yell at it. Because it's in portrait. I don't know. That's my take.
I see where you're coming from on that. And, I lean towards agreement.
I think there's room for the art like that to blossom, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a sign of something that is lesser or of lower quality. There's nothing inherently wrong with portrait mode. That's what they're called, portraits.
Nope, inherently wrong.
Yeah.
Most of my
Yeah, no, I hear you saying that.
Okay, all right.
But you're wrong.
I don't think we are.
So I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm right.
Right.
Yeah. No, like there's a thing that I learned in art school, and that is if actually it might not even be art school, it might just be Twitter. They're the same thing. Is that no matter how well you draw, how good the illustration is, how anatomically correct the pose, or even doesn't matter if the photo is actually perfectly shot. If it looks wrong, it is wrong. So if you have it in your mind that portrait mode, at least for video, is bad, then if something is shot or filmed in portrait mode, you have that instinctual, this is bad, this is lower quality. And I'd say everybody get over it. Actually, particularly, hey, you two, get over it.
The story of this era is going to be called Portrait of a Portrait.
Love it. Portrait of a Portrait on Fire. Hey guys, I invited you to all go watch that movie before the pandemic started. Finally got around to watching it. It's very good. You should watch it.
Portrait of a Portrait on Fire? Okay.
Yes, A Lady of a Portrait on Fire.
Portrait of Dorian Gray in portrait mode.
Right.
Well, right. I like
Portrait
that.
of a Mad Diary Black woman.
I like Dorian Gray here because of what happens to Dorian Gray and what happens to that portrait.
He gets turned into landscape. I may have lost the narrative.
That's the twist, literally. Wow, Dorian Gray in panorama widescreen.
Now I think I'm just gonna turn on League of Extraordinary Gentlemen after this.
Oh, it is streaming again. Yeah.
Picture of Dorian Gray, but it's just a TikTok.
TikTok of Dorian Gray.
Here, okay.
No, that's the script. That's the thing we got to sell to Netflix.
That's true. TikTok of Dorian Gray.
Great novels in 10 seconds.
Hey, there we go.
TikTok dreadful. I'm bad at this.
Doesn't Dorian Gray sound like a teenage YouTube influencer?
Oh, is it not? I feel like it's been influencing the Hot Topic crowd for generations.
That's because he's sponsored by Hot Topic.
Yeah, that's true. Bill's got to get paid.
Hot Topic presents TikTok of Dorian Gray. Only on YouTube.
Right. So we need to. So we now know the sponsors that we need to chase, and where it needs to go.
I'm writing all of this down furiously.
Does Hot Topic deliver? Do they do curbside?
Oh, stop! Don't say things like that.
Do they do curbside?
Hey, I bought a Miles Davis T-shirt at Hot Topic when I was 15.
Oh my gosh! I can get this. I get 20 rhinestone chokers for $5.
Like a rhinestone choker.
Yeah, that's how that goes. Yeah, no, it's great.
This is a thing that I told myself that I was going to look up, but I didn't. So that whenever we got to just like this real natural ending point in conversation that's good in real life but bad on the internet, that I was going to look up silence breakers, and I didn't do that. I thought that's okay, we're going to be good. We'll be great, and get to an awkward silence, and I say awkward, real silence, because we're friends and all.
Yeah, just a regular silence. Well, that's it then. We're gonna have to talk about Nightflyer for the next 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. So that's a thing that happened. If you were, I'm sure everybody here has consumed some sort of George R.R. Martin property of or like there's this small little indie television show called Game of Thrones that I'm sure you may have heard of. But Tyler and I and Kate housed 13 hours of George R.R. Martin adaptations this weekend.
Oh yeah, with like an extra 3 hours of talking about it.
Yeah. On a minute per minute basis, I think it's as bad as Stephen King adaptations. It is absolutely absurd. So we started with that TV show that came out a couple years ago that made no sense, but came to find out that there was a 1987 like Roger Corman-esque film made about it, and like, okay, cool, maybe this is more truthful to the original. By the way, didn't read the short story that it was based off of. Watched it like
this is all guessing. We
right.
were all guessing at this.
Right, more questions, and then the saint that is Kate says, "Fine, I'll read the novella that it's based off of, and to see if it makes any sense." So we're gonna wait to hear back from her, because I just got all this Nightflyer nonsense in my brain.
Yeah, that'll be next week's brunch, tackling the novella and collection of short stories that is Nightflyers by George R.R. Martin.
But
Nightflyer featuring a soundtrack by Rush.
It sounded like some of it
That
was.
was really
I would watch that. That sounds good. I mean, I say that if you haven't watched Nightflyer, it's just so much nonsense thrown together. But if you tell me it's musically supervised by Rush, yes.
Oh yeah, that would. For anybody who's curious about it, if you like your sci-fi space shows to have an attempt at every horror genre under the sun for about 10 seconds at a time, definitely watch it.
Oh yeah. Also, there's going to be about 10 love stories going on at the same time. Just a couple of triangles, couple of will they, won't theys. It's real good.
The last 3.5 episodes, everybody's going to be showing up to work and trying to just single-handedly carry that show to the end of the season. Every single person involved.
Yeah, this was obviously shot out of order, because had they shot in order, there would be no way to have that type of energy for the last few episodes. Anyway, Nightflyers, check it out. Sponsored by George R.R. Martin.
That's right.
But I brought that up to bring up this, is that there was a unaired pilot of this show called Doorways. Some people say it's like a predecessor to Sliders and I've blanked on his name. Doesn't matter. Well, there was a show that came out the 90s.
That was Jerry something.
Jerry
O'Connell, right? Was it
Jerry O'Connell?
Was it Jerry O'Connell?
Okay.
Where people go through doorways into alternate universes, like Earths, but a little bit different. But yeah, it was a pilot that came on ABC, and it made me think, like, as far as subscription services go, that all of these studios and all these networks pump out movie length pilots for TV shows, and a lot of TV shows never got the green light. I would pay so much money to watch movie length pilots that only 20 people, like just a handful of executives, have ever actually watched for shows that don't exist. I pay so much money for that.
Because
Are you
you
suggesting an entire channel that's only pilots?
Yeah.
unaired like non-greenlit unaired pilots. Because if you like listening to a podcast that involve like working actors, like just just the jobber actors, they talk about pilot season. Actually, with a bit of horror and foreboding, but also you do get paid for stuff. But it's like a bazillion shows get filmed on the pilot, and then just it never sees the light of day, and they star in like a dozen of them, and they just hope one of them gets picked up, but like it never makes it onto television at all. Yeah, I would also absolutely
Now it makes it
watch
on Netflix.
Yeah, apparently now it makes it onto Netflix
I
because
was just gonna say, I'd argue, Ron, you've seen a bunch of those.
Oh yeah. I absolutely have.
but that disqualifies them from being on this streaming service.
I'll allow it, but I have a sneaking suspicion that I would have a lot of content, because if we go back for just because what we watched was in '91, I'm sure they've been doing this since at least the '70s. Of make me a thing that looks like I want to invest in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's absolutely some of these pilots got retooled to be movies that were awful, but that's kind of the I want to see it. There's no reason to not let me see it.
It's like that other interdimensional one that I mentioned that had Constance Wu in it on Netflix. Even the description on Netflix was, this movie that was originally a pilot, meant to be a pilot for a show, and it's like you could absolutely tell. But it was weird that it was also another dimension hopping show with alternate universes of Earths that are kind of similar but a little bit different. But yeah, but you're right, RJ. They're on Netflix, or a lot of them are on Netflix. But we just need more. And considering all of the theme streaming services that are out there, if you are really bored and start looking for stuff like Midnight Pulp, where the '90s comes back with all the schlocky sci-fi horror and forgotten anime for $5, we could probably get a Forgotten Pilots, or Forbidden Pilots. There we go. That's the name of it. That's the streaming service, Forbidden Pilots.
I
Like-
wrote down the treatment for a writer's room where the only thing that's going on is we're trying to construct a story. We're trying to construct a series based on a pilot that is sitting on somebody's desk right now and has not been watched, and we're still waiting, and they've just told us to go ahead and make the thing. Still don't know if it's actually going to get made. That's the treatment.
Yeah, like we just make stuff on spec.
Well, and the more than that, the anxiety of making stuff on spec, because we don't have money here. We kind of sort of got paid for the pilot and nothing else, but we've been told and assured it's probably going to get picked up, maybe.
Oh, but see, going through the looking at the unaired pilot stuff made me go through a rabbit hole of unaired pilots, and if you go through the wikis of any of these properties, it says yes, and they wrote 12 episodes before they got the red light, so to speak, before they didn't get green light. It's like, oh my goodness, so you're just talking about 500 pages of script that just had to throw away.
Yep.
Yeah, makes me also thing that I want to see. This is Wonder Woman pilot that came out in 2011. They shot, did all the graphics and special effects. Nobody saw it. Give it to me.
I want to go back and see that Fantastic Four movie that was never allowed to be released from the '90s.
No
I thought that was
chance.
the Roger Corman one.
Ooh,
I thought that's
super chat from Lamar here. What anime would you suggest for a first-time anime viewer? I feel like this is exactly the right group to ask.
ooh, for a first time.
Not Crying Freeman.
Not Crying Freeman. Something I would say something from Miyazaki that's not Grave of the Fireflies.
Yeah, I'd probably say something like Kiki's Delivery Service or if we're talking about movies, right? Absolutely. Go with just about anything from Miyazaki besides Graveyard of the Fireflies. Actually, did he do Graveyard of the Fireflies? Doesn't matter. But don't watch that one first. I don't know. I'd say something that is not so over the top with all of the tropes that the medium gets roasted for. So Cowboy Bebop, and
I
So
started with Spirited Away. That was a good one.
which one?
Spirited Away.
Yes.
yeah, one of the greatest
That's
movies
a-
of all time.
Yeah, Miyazaki, like
Yeah.
Princess Mononoke,
Yeah.
Spirited Away, Kiki's
Yeah.
Delivery Service,
Yeah.
Howl's Moving
Porco
Castle.
Rosso.
Yeah.
Yeah, those.
So I'm also gonna just jump in here right quick and say to the folks that are suggesting Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, Bleach.
As a watcher of all those,
I understand what you're doing, and it is appreciated. We were headed in another direction.
Well, I mean, I think that there's a if I would like ask a follow up question to that, is like, how old is the person that we're recommending this to? Because
Yeah, it matters.
if at our stage we watched all the trash,
I was about to say.
and our tastes have gotten to this might be boring to a 12-year-old taste.
So Lamar's got a beard in his avatar.
Okay,
I'm surprised nobody said
Ah.
Akira.
Okay, see, look, $10 super chat saying you guys get it. See, there you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. So, that's an interesting question. That's it. Yeah,
thanks for that.
yeah. Because all I came up with, and this speaks to who I am, is manga. That's all I came up with. I came up.
oh,
with.
you should read it first.
No, that's where I live. Like, my head does not live in movies or cinema. My head lives in writing it down.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty good idea. If that's the case, I'd say go consume. I think the anime format and the manga, My Hero Academia, that's actually a pretty solid one. If you have
100%. Oh, so all right. So one of my favorite creators on YouTube is Daquan Wiltshire, and Daquan gives passionate reviews of DBZ episodes, but he tried to watch Academia one time, and all he could do was trash it. Like, that's all he could do. He could not get into it at all. He's going, y'all told me to watch this My Hero Academia, and this is trash, dog. Like, ain't nobody doing nothing.
Nobody's powering up for 5 minutes.
Oh man, yeah. And I was like, this dude, he doesn't actually like anime. He likes Dragon Ball Z.
I was about to say, I can't abide by that because My Hero Academia has some of the hypest scenes that I've ever watched.
I know, but it also speaks to, like, I was having this discussion with Laurel this morning. There are people for which I am friends with that I love. There are people for which like the stuff that I do that I probably wouldn't be friends with. And then there are people for which I would be friends with, and then they would tell me something like, I can't stand My Hero Academia, and be like, how are we, what? Or the person walks up to me and is like, yeah, dog, I've never seen The Wire. Oh, well, never taken anything you've said seriously ever again.
I'm glad that you can take your brunch group's opinion seriously now.
No,
Just touch and go there about a year ago.
Look, if you walk up to me and you say that, as opposed to just kind of keeping it to yourself, it's different. You divulged this to me of your own free will. Like, I didn't ask you straight up, did you watch The Wire or what'd you think? You just told me. You
didn't investigate it.
Right.
I gotcha.
Right. You just told me. And that's really what we're talking about. Is if you, one, haven't seen it and then you think that it's just okay for you to tell me. Nah, man. Like,
that means it's a defining feature for you.
Well, I mean,
you are a person who hasn't seen The Wire. No, I mean, like, if you just come up and divulge it, That's like, hi, I'm new in town, and I haven't watched The Wire.
Bro, like,
It's like, what? No.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the way I treat the comments, right? If you just popped up to tell me what trash I am, not only am I going to hide you and shadow ban you, I'm not going to tell you about it. You've done this to yourself. You actually took time to write down that I am the worst. That's a different kind of energy, right? We all watch stuff. Like, I rarely comment on YouTube videos, right? I just don't. But I watch a ton, right? Or I watch a ton of YouTube, or I watch what I'm intrigued with. But to pop up and say, "Yo, everybody, this is trash," cool. That person also reserves the right to, never listen to what I have to say again. Period. As a matter of fact, I listen to a lot of Bomani Jones podcasts, right? And he continually drags Stringer Bell. It's just a thing that he does. Well, come to find out, not too long ago, his producer tried to get Idris Elba to come on the show, and Idris said no. and then Bomani's like, "Nah, I get that. Nah, I understand that. Still would love him to come on the show, but I get it. I get it." As a dude that straight
fair play.
Yeah, like, no. Yeah, I'm thinking, let me see. Like, Mike Stoops is not gonna come on this show. It's cool. It's
a lose-lose for everybody.
Right. Well, no, it's a win for all of y'all. It's a lose for me and Mike.
I mean, who cares about the audience?
Thank you, Ramon.
Shout out to Ramon.
Yeah, right on. Lamar says, "I like Tokyo Ghoul, but only the first 2 seasons."
See, that's the problem with some of the like recommendations. I'm glad it was like, for some entry level, because it's like, oh yeah, go ahead and watch this. Like, man, that thing's 17 years long, or anything like that. So
you mean Dragon Ball Z?
Exactly. Like, I could never recommend it to anybody. I could never. Having watched hundreds of episodes, it's like, hey, would you recommend this to anybody? No, because there's a million episodes of it. So like, especially for entry, it's like trying to find something with a beginning, middle, and end in like 26 episodes or less.
Yeah, man.
Right. There's a handful of stuff. Yeah, I mean, because I think there's so many of the shows that we not to go back to anime so hard, but that we love. But I couldn't in good conscience recommend Naruto. Like, do you have 700 episodes of time to get through this thing? Same thing with people who recommend One Piece and say, trust me, there's no filler. The writing only gets better, and it's just a constant climb from episode 1 to episode 950. I'm like, I'm never gonna do that.
Can't. You know what? You look up YouTube compilation for best fight scenes in blank for any show that's over, like, I don't know, 50 episodes. You can get the good taste for it, for the action and whatnot. But yeah, I can't in good conscience recommend days and days and weeks worth of a show. I was like, yeah, no, just after the first 150, it really gets going.
Oh yeah. Also, there's a break in there where there's just 80 episodes of filler. There was a strike or something was going on while the manga caught up. You can skip all that. Wait, you can tell me I can skip 80 episodes of a television show and you tell me it's good? What's it like?
You can literally skip 3 years of a show.
Right. Who's out there recommending Guiding Light or General Hospital to people? Start in 1978 and you can probably skip the 80s and catch back up in 92 and it's pretty good.
No, nobody says that. That's never said. So there we go.
Sometimes you just want to have something that you can always put on television that is in the background.
Oh, and then the episode doesn't matter.
Yeah. Like, all right, because I'm gonna cut this at an hour because
About right.
Can I just do something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Ronin Warriors, if you've never seen it.
Ronin
I
Warriors.
feel like it's good for all ages, beginning, middle, and end. And it's got a lot of the stuff that people like about Star Wars, like living in a world where you're just like watching stuff get discovered. And little by little, people are like making friends and rediscovering their allies. If you're into that kind of stuff.
I like this recommendation a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'm going to throw Saint Seiya on that as well. Go ahead and check that out.
Ninja Scroll.
And, oh no, please don't. Don't do this. Don't do that to the people.
Wildly irresponsible.
All right.
If we're doing-
With that, I want to remind everybody that Isaiah Thomas and Magic Johnson kissed each other before the start of the 87-88 NBA Finals, and your 80s fist fight warfares were actually just as soft and, cuddly as anything else. Rate, review, subscribe, like, all those things. Follow my friends on Twitter, the ones that have Twitters. Noam Fangold, Katie Mullins. Katie, are you protected? Is that still a thing?
And she's out.
Okay, cool. Ron of all trades, Bat Kate, and
if you can find me, then you can follow me.
I was just gonna say, yeah, good luck with that. I have deleted my Twitter account. Deuces.